The storage auction was chaotic, filled with rusted doors, dust, and the chatter of hopeful bidders. But in Unit 412, a homeless veteran saw nothing but piles of broken furniture, moldy boxes, and forgotten junk. Most people would have walked away, shaking their heads. He didn't, because he had a loyal dog at his side. As soon as the door creaked open, the dog's ears perked, tail stiff, and a low whine escaped him. Something was hidden among the clutter, something no one else could see. What they discovered inside wouldn't just change their lives. It would shock the town, restore hope, and prove that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are found in the most unexpected places. The sun struggled to rise over the sprawling storage lot, casting long shadows across rows of metal doors. Dust swirled in the cold morning air as bidders shuffled, murmured, and adjusted their hats. Some carried clipboards, others sipped coffee, but all eyes were on the next unit to be auctioned. The smell of old wood, mildew, and forgotten belongings mixed with the crisp chill, creating a strange, electric tension. Among the crowd stood a homeless veteran, his worn jacket layered over a threadbare sweater, his boots scuffed from years on the streets. At his side, his loyal German shepherd sat alert, ears perked, eyes scanning the activity with patient vigilance. The auctioneer's gavel banged against the podium. Unit 412, formerly abandoned, now up for bid. Laughter and whispers rose as bidders eyed the rust-streaked metal door. Some hoped for valuables, others for quirky junk. The veteran hesitated, eyeing the door and its promise of the unknown. With a quiet resolve, he raised his hand. The gavel came down. Sold, to the gentleman with the dog. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Unit 412 might have been full of junk, but for the veteran and his companion, it represented the possibility of change, of discovery, and perhaps a chance at a new beginning. The veteran carefully turned the rusty lock and lifted the heavy metal door. A musty wave of dust and the scent of mold hit him instantly, making him cough. The unit was packed from floor to ceiling with broken furniture, old boxes, and piles of forgotten belongings. Chairs lay toppled, drawers were ripped from cabinets, and faded fabrics draped over unrecognizable shapes. At first glance, it seemed worthless, a chaotic graveyard of someone else's memories. The veteran's shoulders slumped, and he muttered under his breath, "What did I even win?" His German shepherd stepped cautiously inside, nose low to the ground, ears alert, tail stiff. He sniffed each corner, paws skimming over fallen debris, growling softly at shadows. The veteran followed, careful not to disturb anything too abruptly. Boxes tipped precariously under his weight, sending a cascade of papers fluttering to the floor. The dog paused suddenly, ears twitching, eyes fixed on a dark corner near a stack of crates. He whined softly, scratching at the ground as if sensing something hidden beneath the mess. The veteran leaned closer, curiosity pricking at the disappointment. Maybe, just maybe, this unit held more than broken furniture and moldy boxes. Something was waiting to be found, something that could change everything. As the veteran and his dog edged deeper into the cramped storage unit, the German shepherd's paws scuffed against a dusty crate tucked behind a pile of broken chairs. The dog's ears pricked, tail stiff, and low whines vibrated in the air. Curious, the veteran knelt and pushed aside toppled boxes, revealing an old, weathered chest. Its wood was cracked, and the rusty lock barely held. His heart pounded as he knelt to examine it, feeling a strange anticipation he hadn't expected from a unit full of junk. With a careful twist, the lock gave way, and the lid creaked open. Inside were stacks of faded letters, a leather-bound journal, and envelopes filled with coins and bills, their edges yellowed with age. The veteran's eyes widened. These weren't just random discarded items. They told a story, a life once lived, forgotten and abandoned, waiting to be discovered. Lucky nudged the chest again, as if urging him to look closer. Each piece revealed a fragment of history, photographs of family gatherings, medals, and handwritten notes detailing adventures, struggles, and triumphs. The veteran's hands trembled as he lifted a small, tarnished medal. His dog leaned against him, sensing the gravity of the moment. What had seemed like junk was suddenly treasure, a lifeline to the past, and the beginning of something new. The veteran sat cross-legged on the dusty floor of the storage unit, carefully examining each item Lucky had helped him uncover. The letters, yellowed with age, told tales of a family long forgotten, of victories and losses, of love and hope stored away in this abandoned space. He unfolded a fragile envelope and found photographs of a young boy holding a dog remarkably similar to Lucky. Memories of his own past flickered in his mind, and he felt a pang of connection. Each item revealed a life once vibrant, now almost erased by time. A small box contained medals and awards, their inscriptions telling of courage, sacrifice, and dedication. The veteran ran his fingers over the worn edges, realizing these weren't mere objects. They were pieces of someone's history, preserved by chance and revealed through his dog's keen instincts. Lucky pressed his head to the veteran's shoulder, nudging him gently, as if to say, "Keep going. There's more to see." Hours passed, and the veteran felt a growing sense of awe and responsibility. The items weren't just reminders of a forgotten life. They were treasures demanding care, respect, and perhaps a new purpose. In that cluttered, forgotten unit, the bond between man and dog deepened. Together, they had uncovered more than objects. They had uncovered a story worth saving. The veteran stepped out of the storage unit into the crisp afternoon air, Lucky trotting faithfully at his side. His hands were dirty from hours of sorting through the contents, but his heart felt lighter than it had in years. Each item they had uncovered carried a story, a life preserved against the odds, and the veteran knew he couldn't let it fade again. He packed the chest carefully into his cart, with Lucky sniffing every step, alert and protective. Back at his makeshift home, he began cleaning and organizing the treasures. The letters were placed in boxes, photographs carefully framed with scraps of wood, and the medals polished to a dull gleam. Lucky sat nearby, watching with vigilant eyes, tail occasionally wagging as the veteran hummed quietly to himself. Neighbors passing by began to notice the changes, the care with which he handled the items, the pride in his posture, and the loyal dog who never left his side. Word spread quickly. People who had once ignored him began to offer help, food, supplies, even small donations to preserve the finds. The veteran's life began to shift slowly but surely, a quiet redemption blossoming. Lucky remained the constant, a reminder that loyalty and trust can guide even the most lost souls toward hope. Together, they had not only discovered treasure but also reclaimed purpose, dignity, and the belief that life could still hold miracles. Weeks later, the veteran and Lucky walked through the small town, the chest of treasures safely stored in a modest apartment they now called home. The letters, photographs, and medals had been cataloged, some displayed on shelves, others preserved in protective cases. People who had once passed by without a glance now stopped to admire the collection, asking questions and offering kind words. The town had witnessed a transformation, not just of the veteran, but of a life rebuilt with care, attention, and a loyal companion by his side. Lucky padded quietly beside him, ears alert and eyes bright, sensing the admiration around him, but focused on the man he had chosen to protect. The veteran smiled, kneeling to scratch behind Lucky's ears. "We did it, buddy," he whispered. "We turned junk into a new beginning." The dog wagged his tail, nudging the veteran's hand, understanding that together they had discovered something far greater than the objects themselves: purpose, connection, and hope. A small ceremony was arranged by the local community center, celebrating the veteran's journey and the remarkable bond between man and dog. Cameras flashed, neighbors applauded, and the veteran stood proud, holding Lucky close. Narrator's voice softens. Sometimes what appears to be forgotten or discarded can hold treasures beyond imagination. And sometimes, the loyal companion beside us shows the way to life's greatest discoveries. Hand in paw, they walked forward, leaving a town inspired and forever changed.